Hello and welcome to episode 937 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, November 12th, 2024. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With me, as always, from Canada is Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
How's it going there, sir?
Not bad. How's it going in the United States? Anything
Let's not talk about that.
Oh, okay.
No.
So nothing
we can
happened
talk
last
about
week.
it. Okay. A lot of things happened last week. We learned that our country is a little divided.
Well, I don't think you learned that last week.
we knew that it was, and yeah. So that's that.
Okay. Well, we didn't have an election last week.
You didn't. No.
Just
feel
in case you were wondering.
lucky that you didn't.
I know you weren't, but in case you were,
I'm driving to Canada, taking all of my personal possessions, migrating.
I have
north.
a basement apartment.
There you go. And joining me from the great state of Washington, Mr. Phil Theobald.
Well, hi there.
Hello, sir. How you feeling? How you doing?
Oh, fine.
Fine. Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm, that cough.
Yeah.
I was sick last week.
You were.
Remember that? The
worst
tragic
news
thing that happened last week?
The worst news on this podcast last episode was your sickness.
Yes. And turns out I had bronchitis. And I'm just about over it.
That's not the worst of the itises. So
No.
but it's not fun.
No. But I'm doing much better.
Yeah.
So not 100%, but I'm getting there.
I don't feel like any of us have been 100% for at least 10 years.
That's actually pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Video games,
Good.
I discovered, I went on a little trip this weekend to the next province over. And on the way home today, I was looking for podcasts to listen to because, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts.
Right.
And I also just can't bring myself to listen to any more game podcasts at this point. So,
really?
Not because any of them are bad, just, that's all I ever usually listen to. So I just can't, I wanted something different.
Video game podcasts, it's a wide breadth of content there. You can get ones that cover just Sega stuff. You can get ones that are just Dreamcast. If you like Metroid, you can just have an all Metroid podcast. Those exist.
No, I get that. I just didn't want to listen to anybody talk about video games.
Well, that's also good.
So I discovered a show called 60 Songs. Oh, now, see, I've completely lost it. God damn it.
Boy.
Wow.
It's called 60 Songs That Explain the 90s.
Oh,
okay.
This is good.
Have you?
This sounds good. I've not heard of it.
I think 2020 is when it came out.
Yeah.
And literally each episode is about a single song.
Yeah.
And I started from episode 1. And spoke, the first
episode number 1, Baby Got Back.
No, but I'm sure they'll get to that. But the first episode is actually You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette.
Tell me
that's a good one. That's a really
that
good one.
it is just every episode they introduce a new song and it's just a parody of We Didn't Start the Fire.
No.
But with various 90s references tossed in.
Oh, that'd be good.
So anyway, it's really great. And you can tell as it progressed that it got more and more in depth, but it talks a lot about sort of the context around each song, the history of the artist, if that's important to the song itself. Usually or always has at least one interview subject, sometimes two, talking about the song and the artist and sort of the stuff that was popular at the time. And then at the end, if you listen to it on Spotify, at the end, it actually just plays the song.
Oh, that's nice.
Which is a nice touch. So I listened to 5 or 6 episodes today on the drive home. It was like a 4-hour drive, 4 or 5 hour drive. So I really enjoyed it a lot. I'm actually in the middle of the episode about the song Mayonnaise by the Smashing Pumpkins.
Mayonnaise?
Yeah. And
I don't know that I'm familiar with that.
I know, and it's a pretty deep cut. But either way, it's like
when I'd listen to Smashing Pumpkins, I'd usually hold the mayo.
It's mostly about the band and about the rivalry with Nirvana and stuff like that. But it's really good stuff, especially for oldsters like us.
Day,
while you guys are still talking, I'm just going to recommend that to anybody who is interested in 90s music. I really enjoyed it.
I am interested in 90s music.
This is going to sound made up.
Yeah.
But I promise you it is absolutely 100% true. I'm sure I had to have talked about this on the show at some point in these past 40 years we've been doing this.
So this sure feels like it.
But back in the day, I met and became somewhat friendly with the sister of Jimmy Corgan.
I do remember this.
The former drummer of the Smashing Pumpkins.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I assume related to Billy.
Oh not Chamberlain. Chamberlain.
Okay.
Jimmy Chamberlain.
Billy Corgan was the front man.
Billy Corgan was the lead singer. Jimmy Chamberlain, right?
I don't know.
You're asking
was
the wrong
the drummer,
guy.
I believe. His sister.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Met her on the train when I was going to school up in Chicago.
I've certainly heard that story before.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And she started a conversation with me.
Yeah.
And
of course she could have said this could have just been a random
how do you
person.
know it's true?
Well, first of all,
it's just believable enough, like John Voight's pencil.
Well, because I was going to college for a little while when we were working in Chicago. That was part of my work visa, and one of my professors claimed that he was Billy Corgan's professor. When he
here's the thing.
Yeah,
I'm sitting on the train, sketching in my sketch pad. I was going to an art school at the time, Columbia College.
Throwing your life away. Keep going,
boy. It was a very sordid semester and a week where I was at Columbia College. That's a whole other story.
Week.
I was doodling my sketch pad. This woman came up to me, complimented my hair color, which was weird, and then started chatting with me. Sat down next to me, started chatting with me, and through the course of the conversation, she mentions that, my brother's in a band. He's a drummer in a band.
Mm-hmm.
And I had some friends.
And Phil, in spite of all his rage,
I knew people. I had friends who were in local Chicago area bands.
Sure.
I had seen a lot of shows with local Chicago area bands. So I was like, oh, maybe I am familiar with your brother's band. So I said, oh, what band does he play drums for? And she says, oh, the Smashing Pumpkins. And I was like, well, really?
You're making that up.
First of all, you don't just be, oh yeah, my brother's in a band. This is like when they're huge.
Oh, but band does he play for? The Beatles.
Yeah.
It's just,
She could sense my skepticism, but she insisted.
She probably gets that a lot.
And she was like, I can, I can prove it to you. You ride this train a lot? I was like, yes, I ride it just about every day. She's like, next time I'll see you, I'll bring you some proof.
What is the proof?
The proof was photographs of her and very clearly Jimmy Chamberlain at their family's house for Thanksgiving dinner.
This was before Photoshop, so it's real.
These were like printed out like Kodak film. She got these pastas at a Walgreens or something.
My big takeaway from this,
I
mean, that's a cool story. Yeah. But my big takeaway
from this, a lot weirder, by the way. But anyway,
okay. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but my biggest takeaway from this so far is that Jimmy Chamberlain's sister was flirting with you and you didn't notice it.
I mean, I believe the rest of the story is different, right? Didn't you like make her something and then she never showed up on the train again?
So she liked because because again, I was
just the way you said it for some reason. It's like, well, the reason was that she was approaching you. But anyway,
she saw my sketch pad. She's looking through my sketch pad.
I like
She's
your
like,
hair.
Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Like your hair color.
Yeah, she complimented your hair because she liked you. But keep going.
Yeah. Which Pantone color is it?
She asked me if it was my natural hair color.
And then said,
Do I look like I take care of myself? Like,
then did she ask you if the curtain matched the drapes? Or
Yeah, I was going to say.
Oh no, that was obvious. I wore shorts on the way to school.
Very short shorts.
And I do not maintain.
Sitting on the train, you want to hike those up as much as possible.
You got to give the spread too. I mean, you're a man.
Yeah.
You gotta,
Exactly.
Well, and it's hot on those trains too.
Had a lot of room down there.
A lot of room down there, Phil.
Yeah. Let it all go. Oh.
What were we talking about?
Like Tropic World down there.
There's a Brazzers logo in the corner. For some reason.
She liked my art. She liked my little sketches.
Yeah.
And asked me if I would be willing to reproduce some artwork for her.
Yeah, I remember this part.
And I was because I'm not a good artist.
This is the genius of this whole con, by the way, that she got you to do this.
Yeah. But to what end?
That's the con.
She didn't get the piece.
So she, you know what she got? You know what she got a piece of? Piece of your mind.
That's true. And I'm still telling the story. So
it's living rent free in that.
Here we are 30 years later.
Train of yours.
So she asked me if I could reproduce an illustration like on a larger canvas.
Yeah.
Based on some artwork she had in a calendar. And I forget the artist's name. And anyone out there listening who is familiar with art, or the art world or art history probably knows who I'm talking about. There was an artist a little while ago who I believe it was schizophrenia. They had schizophrenia, and they would draw cats. That was their favorite subject. They would draw cats, and the pictures of the cats started off very kind of realistic, but kind of like fairy book whimsical. Like, oh, here's a cat wearing a little hat going to the Sunday market, that kind of thing. But as the schizophrenia sort of worsened over time, the drawings of the cats became a lot more like psychedelic. And, so by the end, these cats were just, an explosion of shapes and colors, and she had a calendar of this artwork and wanted me to, could you reproduce this like in pastels or something? I was like, you probably.
And you were like, what do I look like? A Kinko's?
Bill Mudron in the chat is right. It was Jim Davis.
Garfield guy?
That's the artist's name. Yeah.
That was great.
Because after U.S. Acres, he got real weird.
I mean, U.S. Acres was already.
I was going to say after U.S. Acres.
Look at this cat. Oh, there it is. Cat painting schizo. Louis Wayne is the artist from the late 1800s. So if you look up Louis Wayne, Wain, you will see the pictures of which I am talking about here. So I agreed to, and by this point I had talked to this woman.
What's the time period we're talking about? Was it only a week that you've been talking to her? Or now it's been weeks, months?
It's been weeks. This woman was consistently on the same train as me.
Yeah.
For weeks on end. She would always, I'd get on. Several stops later, she would get on, and she'd always come by and sit by me and chat.
Yeah.
And, I'd go to school, and she would go to wherever it was she was going. And so I agreed to do it. The next time I saw her on the train, she brought in the calendar and gave it to me and showed me which one of the pieces she wanted. I said, okay, I could probably do this okay enough.
Yeah.
And then, I was working on it at home, and, she gave me her calendar, which was like, a calendar from a couple of years prior. And it had like it was one of those like 12-month calendars with little boxes for every day.
Yeah.
And she had, notes in there of like, like I was kind of flipping through it, just looking at the illustrations and then noticing like But there's a lot of really personal stuff in there.
Yeah.
She's writing like, medications she's taking and like, scrawled in one square, my life ended today, personal stuff.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I'm not going to look at this part anymore. I'm just going to focus on the drawings.
Sure.
And I would give her updates on how it's coming along.
Yeah.
And then one day I was like, finally finished. I was like, oh yeah, I think I'm going to finish it up this weekend and I'll bring it on Monday. And she was very excited. And then Monday rolls around. I show up with her calendar with this big, art piece. She was not there.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that's weird. And like for the next week, I would bring it with me. And I never saw her again. And I don't know.
This is the con.
I don't know. I don't know what happened.
Then you looked to the side of you, and somebody else on the train also had a calendar.
I was going to say
a large painting, and you were like,
I
"What?"
went and asked the conductor, and he said, "Oh, the cat painting lady. Oh,
that's
legends tell of her.
That's the
she
genius.
died back in the 1920s.
That is the genius of this con.
She haunts the train ever since. So I don't know. I don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
I tried contacting Smashing Pumpkins talent agency.
Did you really?
No, of course not. Well, I think actually at that point,
you went to a concert with the painting.
I crumpled it up and threw it up on stage.
Threw it on stage. Give this to your sister.
This is why I don't go to live shows.
I do believe at that point they had kicked Jimmy out of the band.
Yes.
Because he was I guess he had some drug problems.
Shocker.
And you don't want
in the 90s. What do you
don't want a rock star?
No,
who's known for like glorifying drug use.
No,
especially in the 90s.
Not in the 90s.
No. So it was weird.
Okay.
I don't know where the drawing I did is. I think it may have ended up in my parents' attic. It may still be there, waiting.
like right. The Shiba at Shibuya Station.
There's a psychedelic cat statue at some train station in Chicago.
That's right. Well,
yeah.
I want to update everybody on my standing desk. It is working now, by the way.
Oh, thank God.
The problem now is that the cords I have are all too short. I can't raise it to the standing position because it'll just unhook everything.
I thought you were going to say the problem now is that it's not big enough for you to stand up.
No, it is big enough for me.
You are a giant man.
I
kind of want you to just extend the desk as far as you can, just so we can hear all the springs as 50 wires just pop out of there. So there you go.
Don't do this. The podcast will end when something comes unplugged.
You're right. I'm not doing it.
And honestly, it just looks like you're shrinking.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be too far off.
Yeah.
I am getting older.
Yeah, you're going to be down to like 6'5" sometime soon here.
Oh. I'm only 6'3".
Are you really?
Not that tall.
I'm very tiny, so everything looks...
At a recent physical with my socks on instead of shoes, they told me I was 6'2", and I was like, "The hell you say?"
Uh-oh.
No. So yeah, I guess I'm shorter than I thought. Lame.
How it works.
Oh, these doctors with their facts. All right. Let's talk about some video game news. Why don't we?
Okie dokie.
Excited about video games? I know I am.
Sure.
Yeah.
We all are. Who isn't?
Why wouldn't it be?
We got some Switch 2 news this week. Thanks to a investor, like a corporate management policy briefing. They had to do their quarterly earnings and all that stuff. So some information about Switch 2 has occurred. First of all, their plans to announce the console have not changed. It'll be before the end of their fiscal year, which ends at the end of March, and no further information except that. But we did get a tidbit of information on Twitter from Shuntaro Furukawa, who said that at today's corporate management policy briefing, we announced that Nintendo Switch software will also be playable on the successor to Nintendo Switch. And Nintendo Switch Online will be available on the successor to Nintendo Switch as well.
It's pretty smart because the people who are really invested in this and know that there's a new system
brewing
announcement coming, you know, it's good to release that information just so it doesn't cannibalize software sales.
Yeah.
It's Christmas. I got some pretty big games out there right now with Christmas coming up, and
I don't think Nintendo could have had a successful, it would have been more Nintendo. It would have been very difficult, a difficult first year if the Switch 2 was not compatible with Switch 1 software. Like I think it would have been a tough road. So if this was really ever a question, and I mean, it was rumored that there was some question, right? I'm glad they solved it.
Yeah,
I'm glad they, in the time they've had between consoles to do it. So it's good news. And then the Nintendo Switch Online stuff, that's also good. Good news.
So we're not restarting that library. That's nice.
Not restarting that. That'll be good. And yeah, maybe Switch 2 will last another 8 years or whatever the Switch has been around.
I can't wait for the next Mario Kart 8 remake at the launch.
You think they'll do that?
No, I would love it if they do a Mario Kart 9.
I would also love that
as a launch game. But yeah.
Well, I think we'll probably hear something about that, right? I mean,
one would hope.
Something Mario Kart.
I don't know if you're aware of this. But in McDonald's Happy Meals right now.
Oh,
yeah, it's Mario Kart.
I did see that. It's Mario Kart stuff.
Specifically Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, Mario Kart 8 is an evergreen title.
Yeah.
I still flash back to that Polygon article where they couldn't see past day one of the Wii U game launch that Mario Kart 8 was ever going to be successful. And it's proven that article wrong. I mean, it's Nintendo. Don't bet against Nintendo.
Will the next Mario Kart game be called Mario Kart 8 2?
I assume not.
Oh?
I assume not.
See. We'll see.
Yeah. I guess how do you follow up a game like Mario Kart 8 that has been so successful and
I think numerically it would be 9.
Evergreen. Like, yeah, I mean, sure, 9, but in terms of
a good point.
In terms of mechanics, in terms of characters, in terms of all that stuff, like how do you
just make it one better?
I don't work at Nintendo. That's probably one of the reasons why.
I don't envy that position at all.
No, I would hate to be in the position where I released a game that's world conquering and has made a stupid amount of money.
And now you have to make a sequel.
Yep.
And now you have to make a sequel to that.
Do it again, but better.
Do it again, but with one new track.
Do it again.
There's going to be one good track, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I hope.
You could do it. They've had, what, like 10 years to come up with a new track? Come on.
They could totally do it.
It's just going to have all the Daytona USA tracks.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
3.7 Speedway? Let's do it.
I guess this was announced earlier today. There's a Super Nintendo World Direct set for tomorrow as we record this. It'll be
it's the theme park?
It's the theme park.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So this is going to be about the Donkey Kong Country land that is in the Universal Studios Japan Super Nintendo World. So, yeah. I guess Nintendo getting everything out of the way before they announce Switch 2. just stringing us along. And I'm there for it. I don't expect Switch 2 to be announced until actually March 31st. Let's bring it all the way down. Like
for the end of next year.
I could see that happening. I mean, they technically wouldn't have said anything wrong then. They'll announce it before then and announce it the very last day possible. But anyway, yeah, I haven't been to the Super Nintendo World. I am interested in going at some point. But Yeah, I guess we'll hear more about the Donkey Kong Land. Speaking of future stuff, 2025, not Switch 2 though. GTA 6, Grand Theft Auto 6 is still on track for a fall 2025 release.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Should I play that game?
Yes.
I don't like GTA in general.
No.
I probably won't.
I mean, I'm the kind of GTA player I think, oh, this is the one I'm going to play. This is the one. This is it for real. This is like me and Monster Hunter.
Well,
although I finished Monster Hunter
what
Rise.
was the last one you actually like seriously played?
4.
4 was like the worst one.
Probably San Andreas. I started playing 4 and then bounced off it.
Yeah,
quickly.
I as a huge fan of this series, I did not finish 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 5 was fantastic.
Unless we want to do some sort of like
5
thing where we all play it.
We won't do that. We all know
some kind of game club. No, we would never do that. That's a definite.
Or maybe two of us would.
2, and not me. I'm not one of those 2.
You said that, not me.
I wasn't going to answer because I figured I knew what Greg was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'd sit down and play it for a little while if the show wants to buy it for me.
Well, isn't it free on some services that we have?
I don't even know anymore.
I think it is. Probably.
Would they give that game away for free?
GTA
4? They have. GTA.
No, I mean 5.
5
or 6.
Yeah, they have.
Whatever the new one is.
They wouldn't give away 6. No.
No,
yeah,
they're not giving away
about.
6. 5, yes.
5, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not going to play 5.
Yeah. I mean, that game's it's a retro game at this point.
I'm talking about the new
Probably
one,
on Nintendo Switch Online at this point.
It's not. It's not on Switch.
No.
It should be on Switch. It was an Xbox 360 and PS3 game. I guess I'll try again with 6. I could do that.
Yeah, you sound excited. I think you're going into it with the right mindset.
Excited. You have no idea.
It's going to be 100 hours long. So going in with, I might like this one. That's definitely, that's a winning strategy.
Yeah. Well, it looks like somebody put a news story on the outline. I assume it's Greg.
Why would you assume it's me?
I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about this one.
How dare you?
But I'm right, aren't I?
You are right.
So Victor Ireland.
I just don't like that you assumed.
Because I'm the one who put it on there.
Because when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Recently had an interview
Is that what that is?
On the Retro Hangover podcast in which he said a variety
of things,
wild and informative things.
I see.
Including, but not limited to, hello, I'm Victor Ireland.
I don't know if he actually said that.
Probably didn't say that.
You might remember me from
Thanks for having me on your show.
Working Designs. Yeah. Remember the Spaz label?
Let's not talk about that.
Victor Ireland did.
Yeah.
Greg was the one who actually posted that news. It wasn't me.
I figured.
I'm just naming all the facts I know about.
Is that
Victor
it? Those are all the facts you know about Victor Ireland?
Remember when I got really mad at Greg for, was it Gun Griffin Blaze or something? Was that you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yep. Yeah, was that, or there was another game.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was kind of Vic's thing. Anyway, yeah. So I did put this on here. So recently, Victor Ireland, who was the former head of Working Designs, was on an episode of a podcast called the Retro Hangover Podcast, which I have not, I hadn't heard of before, but I've had so many people messaging me over the past week asking if I'd listened to this interview. And it was also, I want to call out that two of the people who were doing the interview were Joe Redifer from GameSack and Corey Carlson from My Life in Gaming, which are two retro game YouTubers that I have massive respect for. They're great guys. They've helped me multiple ways in the past 10 years that I've been doing YouTube stuff as well. Super nice guys. And they know what they're talking about. So anyway, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I went on a little trip this weekend, about a 5-hour drive. I'm thinking I'm going to save this for that drive, because people have been bringing it up for like a week. It's like you should really listen to it because he really dishes on a lot of stuff from back in the day, like the 90s, basically. Because Working Designs was kind of at the height of their success, I would say 93, 94. Like Lunar really was, they've been around before that, but Lunar really was kind of like the thing. And then they were, pretty well known during the end of the PlayStation era with the Lunar remakes. That was really, those were their sort of peaks. But also Victor was famously very prickly about especially reviewers when they didn't give his games the scores he felt they should get. Should be noted that he usually seemed to think that every game Working Designs released deserved, the highest praise, which just wasn't the case. But either way, there was a pretty famous game fan who was kind of some of his biggest cheerleaders, had a pretty famous run-in with him when he didn't like that Nick Rocks had reviewed the Japanese version of Lunar 2 on Sega CD back in the day. And as Phil alluded to, or CJ just
certainly
alluded
the worst thing Nick Rocks has ever done.
Right. God. Oh God. Yeah. Don't look that up.
No.
And then, as you guys alluded to, we had run-ins with him over the years where he would pull advertising and stuff like that for scores he didn't agree with in our magazine. And yeah, I think, there were a few of them, because really his games, if you look back at EGM, his games didn't really fare all that amazingly.
No,
they weren't all Lunar,
right? And even the Lunar games were like 7.5 to 8, kind of those remakes. So anyway,
those games are better than that.
So I did try to listen to this interview, and right off the bat, I was a little bit put off because he apparently asked to be on here. That's what he says on the show anyway.
Oh.
Because as we talked about a couple weeks ago, we saw that there was a Lunar Silver Star Story remake happening from Gung Ho Studios.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned on the show, because the song they use in that trailer is the song that was the intro for the Lunar Silver Star Story remaster on the PlayStation. The lyrics are the same as the Working Designs translation, but it wasn't the recording. Jenny Stigall, I think, was the name of the actress who sang that. I think. I'm not sure. Anyway, wasn't that recording. And I think there's a couple of other voices you heard in there, and they clearly weren't the actors that were used in the Working Designs games. So he came on the show mainly to say that he's been trying to get a hold of Gung Ho to offer them the opportunity to license his recordings, because he still owns the rights to the recordings. He doesn't own the rights to the script anymore. He sold those rights to Ubisoft back when Ubisoft re-released one of the versions of Lunar. I think it was the PlayStation portable version or something like that. So he's licensed out those scripts, but he owns the recordings. So anyway, this is him coming out and saying, I've been trying to get hold of Gung Ho. No one will answer me. If they want to do the right thing, they should license this. And this is,
I think you have your answer.
Right. And I think and I think this is the framing that kind of put me off, because right after he basically was saying that, and he kind of dragged Gung Ho through the mud, but then afterward was like, I'm not trying to make a bad situation for them, but if they knew if they wanted to do the right thing, they would license these from me. And it's like, there's a kernel of truth there where it's like, yes, old school fans, speaking personally, I would absolutely love the ability to have those old recordings and use that old script for nostalgia purposes. But I don't know that that's going to ruin it if they don't have that. And the way he framed it was extremely egotistical.
Well, it's the idea I'm going to get retro players up in arms about this
that's exactly
collection,
what he was doing.
So that Gung Ho replies to my email.
That's exactly what he was trying to do.
Because that is kind of shitty.
It is. It's not kind of. It is.
Okay. It's shitty.
And so anyway, it's like, but again, having I've had a few run-ins with Victor over the years, as a member of the press. I mean, I interviewed him once or twice for various articles as well. So kind of, and talking with him at E3 and stuff like that. So that sort of approach didn't surprise me. He's kind of well known for doing that kind of thing. He's very much like, because when Silver Star Harmony came out on the PlayStation Portable, and I maybe the Ubisoft, I think the Ubisoft game too, he very publicly shit on all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't involved.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like the whole thing is like, if I'm not there, then it's not going to be done right. And he kind of goes into that too, because he's talking about some very cool stuff, how he had some old outtakes that have never been released as part of special editions. So Gung Ho should really do a special edition. And then one of the people on the podcast said, like maybe through limited run or something. And no, then he sort of tore a strip out of limited run. Nobody does special editions the way Vic does special editions. How the pendant from the Lunar 2 special edition was worn as real jewelry by some women. Like, it was just...
Which one? Which women?
I don't know, but it was very Vic. So anyway, he went into some
booth babes at the Working Designs. Yeah.
He went into some more interesting stories. One of which he takes credit for Phantasy Star 4 being published in North America, saying that Sega of America didn't want to do it, but since Working Designs was interested, Sega of Japan forced them to do it. So the reason that game was so expensive is because Sega of America wanted to prove a point and overprice it so it wouldn't sell, which I'm sure there's a kernel of truth in there, but I'm just going to go ahead and say that, to be totally fair, Victor Ireland is at best maybe an unreliable narrator when it comes to some of this stuff. Again, there's probably some truth to it. There was something. And he talked a little bit about the Genesis Mini 2, about how Sega was Victor was approached for licensing for Lunar and Puffle Mail, and that he wanted royalties, but he says they were a very very low royalty rate. And he did say, like, the person who approached him was probably just had a job to do, had a very strict budget. So he was told no, and that's fine, But of course, it was framed from the standpoint of they just don't care about the games, man.
No, that's not true.
And it's like he kept going on and on about. He said he had offered to patch the game for the Genesis Mini 2 so that it would fix some of the issues that were there, maybe do some cool extras. And while I'm sitting there listening to it, it's like, yeah, but that's not what that was.
No.
I'm not surprised they said no to you.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that thing was a very limited release. Mm-hmm. If y'all remember, we had to buy it from Amazon Japan over here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, all that was happening. Again, I wasn't too surprised. There was some interesting stuff in there. But I'm not going to recommend listening to it, because there came a point where Bernie Stolar came up.
Oh, shit.
And for anyone who was around back in the day, you guys, CJ clearly remembers, Victor had a feud. One of his many feuds was with Bernie Stolar. First, when Bernie was the head of Sony Computer Entertainment of America, which was around the time of the PlayStation launch, because Victor very publicly wanted to bring over Ark the Lad, which was an early role-playing game on the PlayStation. And
was it that or Beyond the Beyond?
Oh, it might have been Beyond the Beyond. No, Beyond the Beyond came out. Sony brought that out.
Oh.
But anyway.
Maybe it was Ark.
Anyway.
One of those.
He was blocked. Sony wasn't interested in having that happen, because Sony was very, rightly or wrongly, very focused on 3D games. Right? So they didn't want to bring over a 2D RPG, is what has always been claimed.
Yeah.
And then years later, Bernie Stolar became the head of Sega of America during the dying days of the Saturn. And again, Victor very publicly decried that Sega would hire him, and basically stated, we won't work with Sega anymore because Bernie Stolar is there. So it was a very public feud. Whatever. They didn't like doing business with each other, fine. But when he came up on the podcast, without missing a beat, Victor says, I didn't shed any tears when Bernie Stolar died.
Oof.
At which point I'm driving. At which point I looked at my media player and just said, "You're a fucking asshole."
And this is what soured you on video game podcasts.
And I know, yeah. And I turned it off, and I will not go back and listen to it because that guy's a prick. That is an awful thing to say. Just because you didn't like doing business with the guy. I mean, and maybe he was a terrible person, but before this show, I even went and looked up some articles on Bernie, and especially memorials and things like that. And by all accounts, he was very well respected. Yeah. Some people might not have liked the decisions he made, and I'm not here to defend Bernie Stoller. That's not even the point. No. The point is that I can't believe that somebody would say something that awful.
Yeah. While also banging the drum for Gung Ho to give him money.
Right. So for anyone who was asking me, I did go listen, and that's as far as I got, and I will not listen again. And I actually apologize. I want to apologize to Joe and Corey because I'm sure they did a great job. They were doing a great job up until that point, but fuck that guy. Like that's an awful thing to say, and it's indefensible. Yeah, I don't care what the explanation is. So anyway, that's why I put it on the news thing, because people have been asking me if I'd seen it or I'd listened to it, and I did up to that point. And I'm sorry to the people who produced it, but I will not continue that episode.
Okay.
So there. That's what I had to say about that, if people were wondering.
Well, our next segment in the show is what you've been playing, since we're done with news. And Greg, you are first up. So keep talking.
Yeah, so I finished Alan Wake 2, Night Springs, the episodes.
Nice.
Again, I really want to, they're a little bit old, and I really want to talk about the cool stuff that happens, but it's a situation where if I even say what happened, it's going to completely ruin it for anybody who might want to go in and try this stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was super happy with it. The Night Springs episodes, like they had a great mix of like comedy, but also like, the seriousness that Alan Wake sort of requires for its storytelling normally. And there were 3 episodes, and the third episode was extremely creative, in a very nerdy way. And I'm so happy that I decided to go back and play these. And I do want to sit down and play The Lake House, which is the episode that more recently came out. But unfortunately, I didn't get around to finishing it. I started to play it last week. It seems a much more straightforward Alan Wake story, which is fine because I loved Alan Wake too. But then I went away for the weekend, didn't finish it before I went away. And since I came back, Atari 50, the new episode of that, or the new download for that is out. And of course, Mario and Luigi came out. So I wanted to, I'm playing that stuff now. But yeah, highly recommend. Again, like I said last week, fantastic. I was really happy with it when it was over. Really enjoyed the whole time I played because it wasn't very long. Cool. The other game that I played, and I just started playing it today, Mario and Luigi Brotherhood came out on the Switch, compatible with the Switch 2, if anyone's wondering. And I'm digging it.
The reviews have been not super glowing.
From a technical standpoint, I'm kind of bummed. I have to say. I think it looks really nice. Yeah. And it's not as its technical issues are not as big as Zelda's. But they're there. It runs at a really inconsistent 30 frames a second. Which again, I almost hate saying because I'm not like a frame rate snob, but it's noticeable. Like there's a scene, because like the whole game starts with a bit of a prologue where Luigi disappears. So you're just playing as Mario, and you have to go find him. That's sort of the tutorial, right? The first part of the tutorial, because it tutorializes things for a while. And at one point you get back together with Luigi, obviously, because it's about playing as the brothers. And like it has this scene where you're on this boat, which is like the hub of the. You'll love this, CJ. You're on a boat the whole time. It's like the hub of the whole game.
Suddenly, very, very interested.
Right. And it's the two brothers standing side by side in a close up, but then the camera zooms out, like a really quick zoom back, so you can see this boat they're on, right? This like land boat that they're on. And I think the title screen comes in there. And when the camera zooms back, it hitched. Like it ruined the effect because like it zooms back and then it freezes for like a fraction of a second and then continues the zoom. But like, and up until that point, I'm playing it. I'm like, I'm trying to decide, like, especially playing when you're running around, it feels kind of mushy, right? And I'm like, does it feel this way because the frame rate is not stable, or is it, is it kind of not great control? And it might be a mixture of that. But the whole time I'm like, I feel like this is getting framey once in a while, but it's not as easy to tell as you can in Zelda, because it's a free sort of a free scrolling camera. And in Zelda, I find that it really frames up as you're sort of getting ready to switch from scene to scene. So anyway, that's a little bit of a bummer. And I will say that it's, I've only played a few hours of it at this point, maybe 2 hours actually. I finished the first world. It's not as I don't want to say it's not light. The Mario and Luigi series so far, I feel like they've been very comedic, sort of right off the bat. And that's one of the things that I've always loved about them. And this doesn't really go for that right away. Although there have been moments. There's some puzzles in the first world which are all about using seesaws to get to higher levels. And it's like, it's the standard thing. It's like there's two brothers. So it's like if you put one on each end of the seesaw, it'll balance it out and you can jump up to a higher level. And it's kind of, it introduces the fact that in the overworld, even though Luigi follows Mario at all times and does what Mario does, you can also use commands to make him do specific things. And one of them is like, if you hold the L, like if he gets near something that he can interact with, he'll start to glow and the thing will start to glow. And if you tap the L button, he'll go do this. So like you get near the foot of one of these seesaws, it starts to glow. You hit L and Luigi goes and stands there, and he won't come back until you either leave the scene or you press L again for him to come to you. So it's like, that's cool. And then for higher levels, it's like, well, if one of you jumps on one end of the seesaw, then whoever's on the other end will be launched a little higher and you can get to even higher platforms. So you do that. And that's kind of cool. And like, you jump Luigi up to this higher platform and there's a chest there and you don't actually control him. It's like it's just a scene where he goes and opens the chest and gets the item and you move on. That's cool. So then you get to another scene because this is a Nintendo game and they're sort of ratcheting it up here. It's like, okay, so we've taught you to do this. Now, imagine what would happen if the person who jumped on the seesaw was carrying something heavy. It would really launch the other guy. And so that's what this whole scene is about. You place Luigi on one end of this seesaw and you grab this big heavy stone statue as Mario, and then you jump onto the seesaw. And there's a really high platform with an item you need up there. It's such a stupid, lame joke, but I was so amused by it. You jump and he just launches like into orbit. He doesn't show that. He only goes off the screen, but at rocket speed. And then there's a good minute, not a minute, but it feels like a minute. It's a long time in game terms where Mario's just like looking at the sky and nothing's happening. And I just found it so funny. And then like, that's the kind of comedy that I'm kind of expecting from this game.
Right.
So maybe it'll ratchet up. I don't know, but it's okay so far. I'm not falling in love with it right off the bat or anything, but
okay.
But I mean, it controls like a Mario and Luigi game, like the overworld. Again, you're using Luigi for various things. Although he does have a lot of automated things that he does, and then there's also something called what's it called? Like not Luigi intuition, but it's something along those lines where you'll get to an area where you don't know what to do next, and suddenly Luigi will start glowing and if you hit the L button, he'll just stand there, like stroke his mustache and and then like a little exclamation point will appear, but it's got an L on it.
Oh,
It's a little
that's
green
great.
exclamation point with a little L, and it's like, and like it's that Luigi has figured out that he can do something, like pull turnips for coins or something like that, or like there's a gate that you have to get through in his, like in Mario Luigi style, there's a red M block, so you have to hit that with Mario, and it half opens this gate, but the L block is behind the gate. So then you have one of these moments where you hit the L button and he thinks, and then he decides he can wiggle through the gate, and it just triggers a whole scene where he does that. So there's stuff like that. So there's a little bit of comedy. Like Luigi is definitely the comic relief, which he always is in those games. And the combat is Mario and Luigi, but it feels like it's even enhanced a little bit more now because the combat's always been interactive, as it was in Mario RPG, as it always has been in the Paper Mario games. Like if you're going to jump on somebody, if you hit the A button again right before you land, you do an extra jump, you do extra damage. And then also if you're getting attacked, depending on which brother is being attacked, you can press a button to defend or jump or use a hammer or whatever. I don't have a hammer yet. So all that's there, but they've kind of thrown in team moves like right off the bat. So now if you choose to jump on someone with Mario, and this is still very early in the game, and you hit the A button as he lands, Luigi will run over and he'll actually be ready to vault Mario higher. So you actually have to press the B button, which is the Luigi button, to vault Mario higher into the air. So then on the second attack, if you hit the A button when you land again, it does even more damage. So they kind of incorporated that stuff in right away. So
cool.
Anyway, yeah, it's, I'm definitely giving it a longer chance. I'm not disliking it, but it wasn't love at first sight either. Okay. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So neither of you were playing that yet?
I haven't started it yet. I picked it up, but I haven't started it yet.
I will be getting it this week, though, certainly.
Luigi Logic, that's what it's called.
Oh, okay.
Too many games.
Way too many games.
Too many games. I have not yet finished Echoes of Wisdom, which I want to do. And I haven't even played any Super Mario Party Jamboree. I need to play some of that too. But yeah.
And then the last game that I have for this week, and I know Phil, you've played this too, is of course the latest DLC. Is it the last DLC, I guess, for Atari 50?
Recently announced, anyway.
Yeah.
So this is the first console war, is what this chapter is called, and it's a direct result of Atari owning the rights to Intellivision stuff now. But it's all about the Intellivision. More precisely, it's about the Intellivision and M Network, which was Mattel, who also released the Intellivision, releasing ports of their games for the 2600 eventually.
There are no literal Intellivision games on this collection.
Right.
It's all 26 or is it 2600 ports?
They're all 2600 ports. Yeah. So I'm curious, because that was one of the points I was going to bring up. How do you feel about that?
You know what? I'll be honest. I did not look too closely into what was going to be on this collection when it was first announced. So I just kind of assumed it was going to be a bunch of Intellivision games.
So have you gone?
I kind of did too.
Have you gone through the?
I have.
Yeah. So I did too. Yes. I have to say I didn't look into it either. But even I don't think it's unreasonable expectation.
But then they can't do Intellivision 50 in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I have to say, out of all of these documentary style things that Digital Eclipse has released, this was a little disappointing.
It was definitely pretty weak comparatively.
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, in their defense, this is the second DLC of a very thorough package. They're clearly
a great collection already.
Yeah, they're clearly, a lot of their resources were probably put towards the Tetris, which is coming out this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was already out
probably
for
a
some
lot of their
reason.
resources
Tuesday.
were at the time going towards Tetris, and who
Yeah.
knows
And
what other
I want to
stuff
give
they
them the
have.
benefit of that out too, because I feel like they probably didn't have a lot of time to turn this around.
No.
So,
Yeah.
but all that being said,
And it was probably more a thought, well, now we own the Intellivision stuff. What could we do with it? Well, we could put it on Atari 50 and add
Right.
some
and I
context there.
And I totally get too, like as far as not having the actual Intellivision games on there, I honestly think it probably had more to do with emulating the Intellivision to a standard they were happy with. Maybe. I don't know.
I'm sure if anyone could do it, it's Digital Eclipse.
I'm sure they could do it. I'm wondering if they had the time to do it.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, and the resources. But all that having been said, yeah, this was pretty lackluster, I found, compared to what they've done. And even excuse me, compared to the previous episode that was released.
Yeah.
Because with this one, so I mean, anyone who's played these knows what the structure is. Like, you're going down a timeline, and it's a mixture of like scans of ads or box art or video clips for, from various people who were involved. A lot of classic developers, and this time around they have Leonard Herman in there as well, who's a very well-known gaming historian, wrote the Phoenix, I think is his book, right?
Yes.
Great book, which he keeps updating and re-releasing, and worth a read. So there's some really good stuff in here, but in this one, it's like they do all the video content up front.
Yeah.
Don Daglow is there, who was one of the original 5. I feel terrible. There's a lady in there who was like the only female developer at Intellivision, whose name I'm blanking on right now. So, excuse me, they have the right people, and they still have some people like David Crane in there as well. And but yeah, it's just like, here's all the video, and then here's all the games, and it's just one 2600 port after another. Yeah. And I found this. I trying to play them. Some of them I couldn't even play. I don't know if there's a bug or I'm just not understanding how I'm supposed to play some of these things. But
well, they are 2600 games.
Yeah, true.
You have
I
to
tried
hit
playing the what was it? The Frogs and Flies.
Yeah,
that had a lot of bugs.
Nice. That's pretty good. Yep, not bad.
Thank you.
I've always sucked at Frogs and Flies. But anyway, yeah, I don't know. I went through it before the show, thinking I'll never get through this in time, and then it was over.
Yeah,
and it was like, whoops. Quick. Because previously they would have, like, for each one of those games, it's like, and here's a little bit of esoterica that went with it, like a design sheet or original art, or here's like a clip of the developer or somebody who has memories of it. Like, each game is kind of its own section in their documentaries. And this one, I mean, it's literally the timeline is just, and M Network boxes were ugly. They're all just these black boxes with the art shoved down in the bottom right hand corner. So it's literally just this line of like 6 or 7 black boxes.
Yeah,
that you can go play. But I don't know. I was a little bit bummed by the end of it. It's like that. I expected more out of that. They've set a standard that's higher than what they hit here, I think.
Yeah.
So it's too bad. And again, I say that fully understanding that, I'm sure they were strained for time on this, because I don't know how
and it's just DLC.
And yeah, but that's what I'm saying. The previous DLC was done to their standard.
Yeah.
There was really fascinating stuff, and this one just isn't. So yeah, I was a little bit bummed out by it. That's it. That's what I've been playing.
Tetris Forever on Tuesday. Very excited about that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I already got that. I got it pre-purchased on my Switch. It's already loaded up.
Nice.
Waiting to be unlocked.
Nice. Cool. All right. Well, Phil.
Yeah?
What do you got for us?
Well, in addition to the Atari 50, I finished up Zelda.
You did?
I finished Zelda this week.
Just excited.
Oh, was that a little... I don't know if that actually came through very well.
No, don't worry about it.
But yeah, I finished up Zelda. as we've discussed over the past few weeks, I have been enjoying that game quite a bit.
Yeah, John Madden.
Yeah.
What was that?
Nothing.
Are you paying attention to the podcast?
Are you watching the big game?
On? I know you don't like video game podcasts, but you're on one right now, and we need your
I just told you.
Yeah, when you said you didn't want to listen to a video game podcast, did not know how far you were willing to take it.
We can go back to talking about standing desks and
if
Drummer's Sisters, if you like.
Oh boy,
yeah.
Yes, I did enjoy Zelda. I will say though, I was disappointed by the end game.
Oh,
I was disappointed by the very ending.
Okay.
Do you mind some light spoilers, CJ?
Of course not.
Why are you asking me?
Well, because I know you're not playing this game. You don't.
Yeah, you're right.
Are you going to tell me that Zelda saved Link?
Well, first of all, no.
Okay.
No, Link dies in this.
Oh, spoiler!
And they put up a text a dialogue box comes up and says this is canon. This is canon across all Zelda timelines. Link is no more.
That's right.
You will never see this character again.
No.
And it seemed unnecessarily harsh.
Stop talking about Bowsette.
Oh God.
Wait, different series, different franchise entirely.
It's just Nintendo getting all their gripes out in one fell dialogue box. No, you do save Link.
Of course you do.
At the end, of course.
Of course.
But here is, and it's funny you should bring that up because this is where my problem comes in.
Oh.
With the end game. Mm-hmm. So you save Link right at the end, right before you go into kind of the final.
You throw your hat on Ganon and become Ganon.
Home stretch.
And then, no.
You're mixing up your series again.
Yeah. Once again.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I listened to that track on Nintendo Music. Great.
Jesus.
Forgotten how good that track was.
And again, spoiler alert for some endgame Zelda mechanics.
Echoes of Wisdom.
I think most people who are interested in this game have finished it already.
Yeah.
But
I have.
At the very end, you save Link.
Okay. Yeah. Save Link. Yes.
And then there's a rift. This game
between
has
Link
rifts.
and Zelda?
Yep.
An emotional rift?
Yep. And the final stretch of the game is just a courtroom drama.
A bunch of therapy visits.
Divorce court.
It's a Kramer versus Kramer situation.
Loved him in Seinfeld.
So as you're about to go into the final rift, a little try says something like, "Oh, it's time to head into the final bit. You got to you should give Link his weapons back."
Okay.
So he can help fight.
Well, that makes sense.
And you do.
Yeah.
But so throughout the course of the game, the main way that you've tackled bosses is, there are moments where you utilize your echoes in some sort of vaguely puzzly way to cause the boss to become vulnerable, at which point you switch to sword fighter mode and you go in and do some damage. And then again, you start manipulating your echoes.
Yep.
And that's how you defeat the bosses.
That
is not the case now because you've given Link back his weapons. So you have lost any way to use standard attacks.
Yeah.
So during the final stretch of the game, and indeed during the multi-phase final boss fight, it feels like you're barely participating.
Oh.
Because Link's there with you and the CPU is controlling Link.
CPU's getting all the fun.
Yes. And I'm just kind of running around, occasionally throwing echoes down or using Try's little possessing ability to sort of put the boss in a position where Link can, again, do the good parts of the fight.
Thwap, thwap, thwap. Yeah.
Yeah. So the ending battle, it kind of deflated the mood of the game, because I was just like, well, now I don't really feel like I'm participating
so
in
you
this
just want
final
to
chunk of the
leave
game.
Link in a rift and leave him for dead?
I mean, I was having fun. But
yeah, that does kind of suck.
Yeah, it's weird where it takes away a fair bit of the main character's agency over the action.
Yeah.
And you know, kind of left a little like because you beat the boss, and then it's just like, you get a little ending cutscene, and then it goes to the credits, and I'm just like, I kind of feel like I didn't do anything at the end here.
It kind of goes in line with what my main negative feeling is on that game, and I think I said this a few weeks ago, is that it just feels like it's an idea that they extrapolated into a whole game and then kind of realized that it couldn't carry a whole game. You know what I mean?
I thought it did carry the whole game.
Really?
I had,
except here you are talking about a boss fight where your character had no agency.
Well, again,
boss fight.
That's the final. I mean, it's the final, but everything else up to that, was. My problem is the final boss fight was not like every other boss fight in the game, where you do have that agency, and it is a mixture of the puzzle solving and the.
Well, I would have thought,
but sorry, go ahead.
I would have thought they'd do that at the very end. It's like, all right, Link and Zelda deliver the final blow, and you do it together,
right?
Kind of thing. Not, hey,
like
Link, now that
after you've won the fight,
exactly. Right. Now that you have all your weapons back, you can just thwap, 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 do the fun parts.
Right.
Like that
to me that's kind of going along with what I just said, is that you keep referring to the parts where you play as Link as the fun parts.
I said that.
That was my point.
I said that though.
That's what I'm saying. But was my
being
point
facetious.
But that was my point back then, was that the sandbox style, summoning monsters and that sort of thing is cool, but it felt like a concession was made in that, okay, we're going to start giving you back some of Link's abilities. So there's still some traditional Zelda gameplay in here.
The thing is, though, through the course of the game, the only time I ever switched to sword fighter mode was during boss fights.
Sure.
The entire going through the overworld, going through all the dungeons.
Fun bits.
No, I had fun through all.
I know. I'm just
exploring that whole overworld, figuring out all the dungeons with just how do I manipulate my echoes. All that was great. And again, the only time I would sword fight is when, those few moments when you kind of dizzy a boss and then have to go in to do the sword damage.
Yeah.
And then, to just kind of take that bit away felt weird and made me feel disconnected from what should have been the most exciting and most emotionally resonant chunk of the game, when you and Link are now back together. So I still really enjoyed it. I still had a real great time with the whole package, but the final boss fight was disappointing to me.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
But
it's too bad it wasn't just like a victory lap kind of thing, and where you strike the final blow. Yeah, kind of thinking about the ending of Wind Waker. Yeah, really, where that and sort of is a team up.
There is, thing. There is a moment. There is like kind of that big dramatic final moment where the two of you kind of do something together at the end. But they should have just saved that moment for the very end, as opposed to, I'm, dragging a boss around so it exposes a weak point, and then Link goes in and actually does the work, while I just kind of stand here and try and dodge enemy attacks while someone else does the fighting. While the man does the fighting. Let's be honest.
Uh-huh.
So, but again, still really dug it. Just a little disappointed with the very ending of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then other than that, I haven't had much time to play really anything else. I did I'm about to dive into Ys 10, which I'm very excited for.
Nice.
Slight problem in that I'm planning to play that on my PS5.
Oh, well, you got your Portal.
You got the Portal.
But
wait, did you get a new TV already?
Yes, my new TV is yes, my new TV is here. It is up. It is beautiful.
Yeah, okay.
Love the new TV. I'm delighted with the new TV. The problem is that my wife also just got Dragon Age.
Oh, right, Veilguard.
For the PS5.
Yeah.
Which
heard good things about that.
Oh.
Unless the Portal somehow magically allows someone to play one game on the TV and another game on the Portal, but I don't think it has that capability.
Well, I mean, you were probably going to buy multiple copies of Ys 10 anyway. Just buy it on the Switch.
There you go. I mean, it isn't out of character for you to buy multiple copies of the same game.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what I'm saying. You're like, oh, this one console that the game I want to play is on is now being taken up by another game that my wife wants to play.
I mean, I do already own the Switch version of Ys 10.
There you go.
But
exactly. See, it's that
I want
to
play it on the PS5 because it's going to look nicer.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
okay,
it is.
Yeah.
now you're being ridiculous. You guys keep switching roles.
Yeah.
Here's what you do.
What do I do?
Buy a second PS5.
Oh my god.
Well, now hold on a second.
No, but make your wife buy the second PS5.
I don't know if she'll go for that.
Be like, sorry, honey, I need to play Ys. Ys came out first. And
yes.
Finders, keepers, losers, weepers.
What did I find?
The game that came out first.
Oh, okay.
And just take the controller away.
I understand.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. But
so
second PS5 potentially. Or why didn't you ask her to get Veilguard on a different platform?
Because it would look best on PS5.
You do have an Xbox.
I guess.
When's the last time that got turned on?
Oh, geez. Actually, now that I think about it, when's that stupid Indiana Jones game coming out?
December.
Yeah.
That's December. Okay.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to play that for the show, aren't we?
I think
Not
so.
saying that I don't want to. It's just
I want to. I'm looking forward to that game.
I gotta turn on my Xbox for that, apparently.
Download some updates. Do it before it comes out so that you'll
sit through
be ready.
3 days worth of updates.
No, it won't be that bad.
Close
to it.
Anyway.
I see.
So we're gonna be having to do a little kind of Tetrising our time to get the Dragon Age and
I see how that
Ys times to
yeah
to coincide, but we'll get it.
Well, at some point, well, no, I was going to say PlayStation was going to let you play over the cloud any game that you own starting soon. And but I don't think it's started yet. So,
I see.
And I think that's probably only on PlayStation hardware. So
yeah, there you go. We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Don't worry about me.
Okay.
If this is the worst,
is it out on Steam? Did you buy it on Steam?
What, Ys?
Yes.
I did not buy it on. I'm assuming it is out on Steam.
I assume it is.
I have not purchased it.
Here's
on
what
Steam.
You do. Here's what you do. Buy a Steam Deck.
But see, I want to play.
You want to play it on PS5.
I want to play it on a big screen. I want to play it on my.
Okay.
I got this again. I have a gigantic OLED TV out there. I want to play my game on a gigantic OLED screen.
Okay. All right.
I don't.
How big is your TV again? How many inches?
It's a 65.
65. Okay.
65.
I just recently bought a 65. The TV behind me is 65 inches.
Okay.
It's very nice. Anyway,
There you go. And
not as nice as yours, but
is it not?
it's not as expensive. No, I didn't go LG.
You didn't go. Did you not go OLED?
No, I went whatever. I don't know. It's not as nice as yours.
Okay.
Let's just say.
Okay.
Yeah.
My TV is nice.
I
will say that.
Yeah.
Oh boy, let me tell you.
It's like QLED or something.
I have an old TV that was out in the garage. It's my old HD TV.
Yeah.
The one I had before I got the LG OLED.
Yeah.
And it was a nice it's a Samsung TV.
Sure.
HD TV.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 45-inch screen. So it's not tiny. But while the big TV was busted and I was waiting for the new one to show up.
Yeah.
I dragged the old TV out of the garage.
Okay, so you did do that.
And put it up. I ended up doing it. Yeah. Once I found out like, oh, it's going to be like another week. I have to wait. And then, for the guy to show up to mount the thing on the wall and everything.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm going to get the old TV out. So I dragged it out, hooked up the Apple TV to it, hooked up like the PS5 and the Switch, watched a little TV on it, played a little game on it. And you know what? Lovely TV. It served me well for many years.
Yeah.
But goodness gracious, how spoiled am I? Where I was just like, oh, this TV's so tiny. Oh, and it looks horrible.
I can't do it. The color saturation is just the worst.
I'm playing some games, watching some movies, and I'm just thinking, God, this looks terrible. This is just a horrible. And I'm just like,
you've become that person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like looking, I'm like, this has got to be like a 26-inch screen. This is so tiny.
It was a 40.
And I like
42.
to the point where I actually busted out a tape measure. I was like,
did you really?
Oh, I did. And I was like, oh my God, this is like a 45-inch screen. If you went back and told like high school Phil,
right,
you're going to have a 45-inch television and you're going to be,
wow, I'm a millionaire.
You're going to be poo-pooing it for being your 45-inch HD TV. Oh, garbage. Throw it away. It's trash. I don't want it. I wouldn't know what to think of myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here we are. Anyway, that TV's out on the curb.
Someone take it yet?
No, it's not on. It's not.
Okay.
It's in the garage.
I see.
You never know.
Yeah.
Now, the busted TV. Yeah, I put that out on the curb with a big free sign on it.
Someone take it?
That'll be someone else's problem now. No, I did not.
No.
Do that.
Christ.
That would be horrible.
Wow. That would be pretty bad.
I do have to hire someone to come haul that thing away, though.
Why's that?
What do you tell me?
What do you do? You take it to electronics recycling, or I believe Goodwill does electronics recycling. You can just take it there.
How am I supposed to fit a 65-inch television in my car?
Buy a bigger car.
Put the seats down. Yeah, buy a big car.
God, I wonder
to go with your big TV.
Rent a big car.
If I put the seat down.
Yeah, you probably could. You probably could get it in there. Yeah.
I wonder. I'll have to do some measuring.
I mean, it's already broken. Just fold it.
Right? It's not wrong.
Take a sledgehammer to the middle of it and just perforate it enough where I can fold it in half.
Yeah.
Well. Yes.
Good stuff.
Anyway. That's it.
Well, my segment's going to be short because I haven't really been playing much of anything. I did play some more Zelda. You know what I did? I played just a tiny bit more Zelda. I did some more exploring in the overworld. Yeah. I went into that pirate ship, the sort of pirate ship wreck
in the middle of the lake.
In the middle of the lake, I was like, you know what? I bet you I can get in that pirate ship now. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to abandon this frozen mountain that I'm ascending slowly.
Yeah.
and go do this. And finished that up. That was fun. I don't remember what I got from it or whether it was useful to do it.
There was something in there.
There was something in there.
Yeah,
I don't remember
what it was though.
But then I'm going to go back to the frozen tundra and do some more stuff there. So yeah, we'll see.
Is that the last of the 3 that you need to do?
No, I still have to do the Goron stuff. Okay. Yeah, after that.
So how much game is there after those 3 are done?
Not too much. I think there's just like one more kind of main dungeon, and then
end game.
You kind of get into the end game bit. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I need to get back to it. I want to do that before I start Brotherhood. But we'll see how that
Brotherhood's
goes.
already out. I don't know if you're aware.
I know it's already out. I already purchased it.
Well,
but then of course Tetris Forever comes out on Tuesday.
That's also true.
And then Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D comes out this week too.
Oh, and God.
Very excited about playing that. So we'll see. But then also I have Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, which I want to get back to.
You already beat that game.
I did already beat it. Yeah, but I want to beat it again. And again.
Oh boy.
And again. And then I would like to get back to Alan Wake 2 at some point. Just too many freaking games to play. God. But anyway, yeah. Let's talk about anime for a second here, because that Ranma 1/2.
Jesus Christ.
That there Ranma 1/2.
Oh my gosh.
Here he is.
It's Anime Loving Prospector.
Kodachi Kuno has appeared in the Ranma 1/2 remake, and let me tell you, she is a stone cold biatch.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Anime Loving Prospector. Those are some harsh words.
No, I really enjoyed that episode. And the great thing about it, my daughter is watching with me. And I, of course, know all the twists in Ranma. And
you've been telling her about them before they happen, I assume.
Yeah.
No, but that's what she does to me when we're watching a show. She tells me the twists, and but she doesn't know the twists in this one. And yeah, Kodachi shows up, and of course, there's the twist that she's the sister of Kuno. And my daughter went crazy. She loved that, loved it. And she also had the question, well, why doesn't Ranma just tell Akane that Pichon is Ryoga? And I was like, well,
maybe you don't understand how Rumiko Takahashi works.
And also, if that happened, what's the show about?
I mean,
where are the antics?
Every problem in every Rumiko Takahashi show would be solved by
communication.
If the character would just explain themselves to this character.
Communication. Yeah,
everything would be fine.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like if you had Seinfeld with cell phones, there'd be no show.
Yeah. Why doesn't Ranma just admit that he likes Akane? Why doesn't Akane just admit that she likes Ranma?
I did tell her, I told her that I only really watched the first 2 seasons, but there's that awesome episode where Ranma, in his search for a treatment to finally just be boy Ranma,
right?
Is, I don't know what, there's like some pressure point thing where he's turned into where he thinks he's a girl.
Oh, right. Right.
It's hilarious. And one of the best episodes, and it comes later in the series. I was telling my daughter about that episode, and she's like, yes, we must watch that episode. So we may start a rewatch of the old series now.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, does she have any interest in going back and watching the original show?
She might. Yeah.
I mean,
she definitely might.
Obviously, it's going to be retreading.
It's going to be retreading. Yeah. And
a lot of territory.
It's going to be a little different.
I will say,
I love the new series, though. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
It is great. I am very disappointed they cut out my favorite gag from the introduction of Kodachi.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Both the manga and the original anime. So it's the rose petal gag, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, they they don't show her with the vacuum cleaner.
Which, again, is the joke.
That's the old joke.
Yeah. The character of Kadachi, she's known as the Black Rose. And whenever she makes a dramatic exit, there's a flurry of black rose petals. And she does her little iconic ooh,
yes,
anime villain woman laugh. And she bounds away.
Yeah.
And it's an anime trope. The swirling, rose petals or sakura blossoms or whatever. And then in the original manga and in the original show, after she has her first big confrontation with Akane and she disappears in the flurry of rose petals, Akane expresses her frustration with, you just left me this giant mess. And then there's just a scene, or like a panel in the comic, and just a quick scene in the show of just her silently like vacuuming them up
their petals.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Just looking very annoyed.
It's so funny.
It's a humorous little aside, just playing with the stupidity of that little anime trope.
Yeah,
and for some reason,
it's not in there.
They cut it out. They cut it out of the new. The new show.
But I love everything else about the new show.
Yes. Yeah, it's very good. It's a very good reboot.
All right. Well, since we don't have anything else game related, should we do tweets? I'm sorry, it's time for tweets.
I guess it's time for tweets, everyone.
With that, it's time for tweets.
Oh God, here, see, this is where
the bronchitis
is still. Tweet. Oh God. Tweedledee. Ugh.
Can't get there. Yeah, I'll have to lip sync it.
Oh God, I cannot.
Okay.
Tweedledee. They're getting sultry this week. Tweedledee. Tweet.
All right.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
My voice is gone, baby.
That was, yeah.
Yeah, it's not great.
All right, let's do this one from listener Jason Williams, who asks, if anyone picked up a PS5 Pro, please add that as a discussion topic tonight. Nope. And then asks, worth the price, $700.
Nope.
But there's a PS5 trade-in value, so $460 final cost. How's it compared to base PS5? Any improvements? Blah, 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 blah. Going back and forth if I should upgrade. Well, none of us upgraded.
Yeah.
None of us upgraded. So you're asking the wrong guys. But I mean,
you're the one reading the question.
That's true. I mean, if you have an amazing television and you really have an eye for fine details in games and don't have bad eyesight like I certainly do, and maybe Phil, you do. Who knows? We all wear glasses, so maybe we're not going to know what the graphical differences are between PS5 versions and PS5 Pro versions. But I will at some point get a PS5 Pro sometime before the next Sony first party. Probably Ghost of Yote will be my PS5 Pro purchase. Yeah. And then Jason says, can we also get a virtual high five for the good guys as we all sit back and laugh at the eBay scalpers taking a bath on these things since they remain in stock just about everywhere?
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great.
That's funny. Yeah, having to sell them for lower than they bought them for. That's funny. Yeah. If we could just end the eBay scalping thing, that would be very, very, very good.
Yes.
Just saying. All right. Let's do this. Well, shoot.
What's that?
I lost.
I
lost my place here. Oh, let's do this one from Mathman1024, who says, I just re-listened to the after show from 2 years ago where Phil attempted the one chip challenge.
Oh, yeah.
What's the most extreme thing you've ever eaten? Any regrets?
I don't think I've ever eaten anything extreme.
I mean, that's probably that chip was probably it for me.
The chip. Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, I had some crickets that were like, sauteed, or they were spiced crickets, but you could tell they were crickets, and I ate those. Yeah, that was fun.
Ugh. No, thank you.
Yeah, spice wise, I tend to like stay away from like if something says the spiciest thing ever, like, stay away from that. In general, I just don't do that.
Like I to the like when you did that one chip challenge, I was not down with it because I
no,
like I actively avoid even watching stuff like that, let alone doing stuff like that myself.
Well, I know Hot Ones is a very popular.
Well, I was just gonna say Hot Ones is actually the exception
show. Yeah,
because he's such a good interviewer. That show is actually really interesting.
Okay.
And they don't necessarily get to the point where it gets gross. You know what I mean? Like, unless you're, unless you're Conan O'Brien, but because his episode was gross. But for the most part, like I don't enjoy seeing people eating something that makes them suffer, and I absolutely wouldn't
either
eat anything extreme. Like I'm not a picky eater, but I'm also not gonna eat spiced crickets. So there's that.
Is your problem the spice part or the cricket part?
I was not really like a fan of spicy foods. I didn't eat anything spicy like my family. My mom thought spaghetti sauce was spicy. Okay, just plain marinara.
Got salt in it.
Marinara.
Got a little garlic powder in there. Woo!
So my family took a vacation to New Mexico, and we were at this Mexican restaurant and got a burrito. And I was used to eating the burritos.
This is the whitest gaming podcast in town, though. By the way,
you are correct. It is.
I like spicy food. For the record, I mean the ridiculous chip is obviously
it was too much,
cartoonishly over the top, but I do enjoy a little hot sauce on a taco or
Well, I enjoy that now, but I was used to burritos from the Midwest being very bland if you didn't put hot sauce on them. So anyway, I got this burrito and it burned, like it was so hot, like and it probably wasn't even that hot. It's just that I'm not used to spice. I was not used to spice at that time. Right. I was like sweating and crying with how spicy it was. And I just kept eating it. And from that point on, I was able to eat spicy foods because I burned off my taste buds at that point. So, but I like jalapenos now, and it's more spicy food, sriracha and all that. So all it took was that one burrito, that one magical burrito. One night in New Mexico with the burrito. Anyway, let's do this one from Gralius Mudron, who says, vibe check for the Dragon Quest III remake. Crazy, the Japanese RPG that I first heard about in like the third issue of Nintendo Power is the biggest video game release 2 weeks before Thanksgiving in 2024.
It is a little wild.
It's a little bit crazy. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Very exciting.
I want to pick it up.
Yeah.
But
I probably won't pick it up, and it's not really a matter of I don't want to play it, because I would. It's just I know I'm not going to have time to.
And also, you have Ys 10.
What's that?
You have Ys 10 as your RPG.
I mean, I got Ys 10. I got Brotherhood that I want to play.
Yeah.
And that's going to probably lead me straight into Pirate Yakuza.
Indiana Jones?
I mean, I'm just talking. Well, I guess, yeah, there's that too. Jeez.
That's December.
Yeah.
And Pirate Yakuza.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can't imagine I would find time to play it.
Yeah.
Although, boy, it looks great.
It does look so good.
Yeah, it looks really good.
I'm excited about it. I'm picking it up for sure. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something you heard, you can direct that to @P1 Podcast on the Twitters, on the Threads, on the Blue Skies, basically anywhere. Any social media, just at P1 Podcast. That's us. We got the name. Not that other Player One podcast that tried to be a thing.
Oh, is it gone?
I don't know.
Well,
it was about F1 racing, I think.
Yeah.
It was about F1. Anyway, we also have an internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Stewart. You'll find Generation 16 episodes as they happen. You will find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about, and a link to our Discord server where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by visiting player1podcast.com or by loading up your favorite podcast listening app. We're also on Spotify. You can like us on Facebook. You can watch video archives of our show on the youtubes.com/P1 Podcast, or you can watch us live most weeks on, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Twitch.televisions. Just follow one of our many social media accounts to find out when we're doing our next live show. Typically, it is Sunday evenings at 5:30 specific time. So join us, won't you? And I'll tell you what, if you like what you've heard, and how could you, head over to patreon.com/P1 Podcast. Throw a few shekels our way. Maybe I can convince CJ into letting me buy another giant TV so my wife and I can play our separate PS5 games on our own screens. Oh, I'll need another PS5 as well. Might as well go with the Pro. So yeah, go give us your money and I'll buy a new TV and a new PlayStation.
Yikes.
We all win.
You can put the two TVs side by side, so you can play. Your wife will be playing Veilguard on one screen, and you'll be playing East 10.
I'm gonna put
on the other.
Put them one right under the other, and
be like a DS.
Pretend it's a giant DS.
Perfect.
And if CJ doesn't allow me to do that, which is within the realm of possibility, I haven't had a genuine chat with him yet about it, but. If I can't do that, then what we will do with your Patreon funds is, of course, keep our show running as it does, week in, week out.
Yeah.
Keeps us streaming all that stuff. And I'll tell you what, though, friendos, if you are a Patreon supporter of the $5 tier,
cheap,
you gain special access to a weekly bonus episode. We record it right after this, where we play games, crack wise, having fun, doing all that stuff we can't do on the regular show. CJ?
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a while, this little after show.
Just a little.
We've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
And it seems like just about every week we have had a game of some sort.
Yeah.
But certainly that can't continue forever. Is this the week where we don't have a game available?
Actually, Phil, we do have a game. We have a game.
What?
Yes, I am happy to report we have a game.
How did you? Where? What?
I know, right?
Well, okay. I mean, that's great.
Yes.
I guess I'm just a little overwhelmed.
Luciano has sent us a N64.
Oh,
Jeopardy.
Oh
God.
So it'll be you and me versus Greg.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I think that's fair. That's clearly fair.
It seems to be the way we should do it.
Yeah.
An N64.
N64 Jeopardy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm for this. I'm excited.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and say I think we might do okay at this.
Yeah. Maybe.
We'll see what happens.
How many will be about Quest 64?
Oh, no. It's going to be one of those like gimmick ones where it's all Quest 64.
Well, who knows?
And we'll get like one right, and that is... What's the name of Quest 64?
Yeah.
Did you ever actually play Quest 64?
I did, yeah.
Very briefly.
I have not at all. So...
It seemed horribly planned to me.
Well, let's see how we do.
Okay.
In the after show. But I'll tell you what, if you have a couple bucks left over, why don't you head over to patreon.com/Greg Seward to help support Greg's outstanding, and it is outstanding, web series about North America's favorite runner-up, the Sega Genesis.
Thank you, Phil. And if you're a supporter of the $5 variety,
also cheap.
Welcome, Satan.
How you doing, Greg?
I see you voted this week.
So many times.
A lot of times, yeah.
So many times.
You get access to the Weekly Commute, which is a almost weekly vlog series that I do talking about what I'm working on, what I'm thinking, what I'm playing, what I think of Phil and CJ. It's not always pretty, but it does go.
But we always are.
That's right. It goes to support the show. Please consider doing so. And thank you so much to those of you who already do.
There you go.
Wonderful. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Oh, hey. Before we go, I got to show off my new Godzilla toy that I got this week. Look at that. Yeah. Recognize this guy?
That's from the US one, isn't it?
That's from the US Godzilla. That's a Bandai figure of Zilla.
Nice.
From the technically he's from the 2004 film Godzilla Final Wars.
Oh.
But it is indeed the 98 Godzilla.
Fun.
Yeah. He shows up in Final Wars for about 30 seconds just to get killed. They showed him no respect.
I'm just going to say the amount of respect deserved.
In that film. Yes. He shows up and gets blasted into the Sydney Opera House and is immediately forgotten.
There you go.
But how could I resist getting a little toy of him? I'm stroking his tiny little iguana head here. Good boy. I knew that tuna-eating monster was useless. Quotes Dustin McKenzie in our chat.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, a line from Godzilla Final Wars.
There you go.
CJ.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Absolutely. Gregory.
Yo.
Oh. How you doing? Thank you, Greg.
I'm here.
Thank you. I do what I can.
Yeah.
And of course, a big old thank you to you, our wonderful, wonderful listeners, every single darn one of you. As always, and perhaps more than ever, take care of yourself, your loved ones, your family, your friends. Be kind to each other. Oh my gosh, be kind to yourself. And
kind to the women in your life, anyone with different sexual preferences than you, any trans individuals that may be in your life. Be kind to everybody. All. Any
I just want everyone to be nice.
Other races, ethnicities. Kind to everybody. Kind.
Even the American Godzilla. He deserves it too.
Yes.
She deserves it too, actually.
Yeah. As Micah says in the chat, be excellent to each other. I agree. Yes. And party on, dudes.
We'll see you all next week.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.